Right. Just fixing the cameras. This one is still not okay. Let me see, how is that one? Good evening, everyone. It's Monday. It's 8 o'clock. It's time for another episode with me, Ray, and this is the Late Smoke. And we are in episode 65 of the weekly show of cigar talking, nonsense, news, basically everything which is cigar related. How is everyone? Still can't fix my cameras. They're not in the position I want to be. But anyway. Right. I'll give a few minutes until everyone joining on both channels. So we are live in YouTube, we're live in Instagram. All the questions, all the suggestions, all the comments are more than welcome. Please feel free to jump in the chat and comment. I will try to follow both chats and seeing what will be the topics. There's already a bunch of comments on the YouTube. Andres joining, Toko. Hey, how you going? How you doing, guys? Loving the jacket. Well, thank you. Thank you. So, first of all, we'll start with a bit of an apology for last week. Unfortunately, last week I didn't manage to go back in time at home, so I can film the episode. I was busy filming in not far away from me, but from home. But I finished filming like 9:30 until I go home. Was already way too late for the live, and I didn't plan to film for that long, so bit of a mistake. But sometimes when you have the opportunity to film something interesting, I just take it, and I don't think of the consequences about the all the other schedules and obviously the live. So if anyone was waiting for the show last week, again, apologies on that one. I hope it won't happen again, but I'm sure it will happen again at some point. But yeah, I hope this week will be interesting for you. Lots of stuff to talk about, lots of interesting news. So as a usual schedule on the show, we're gonna talk about the news, of course, what I'm drinking, what I'm smoking, bunch of news, lots of news actually. Best cigar I smoked during those 2 weeks, the worst cigars of those 2 weeks, and of course we're gonna finish with some cigars from the vault. There's a few very interesting brands today, so yeah. Jacob, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I get that maybe some people expect me to do show in Monday, every Monday as I promised, but again, it was a situation not entirely in my control. Right. What's everyone smoking? What's everyone drinking? Is anyone drinking, smoking, or is it just me? What I have tonight, it's a cigar with no band. It is branded cigar. I have only this yellow ribbon food band only. But this cigar is, for me, it's. I love this cigar. I've smoked this cigar so many times. And after the few disappointments I have on the live shows before, in the last few shows, I decided to go for something which I know it smoked well. On theory, this blend is perfect. Some people ask me, what if you want to pick a blend, what would be your filler wrapper, yada yada. This is probably one of the most interesting blends for me. I don't think maybe you can make this blend wrong, but I haven't smoked this tobaccos in a wrong combination so far. So what we have here, this is a Crown Head Yellow Rose. Crown Head brand, we talk a lot, I talk a lot. Sometimes I rant about it, sometimes it's superlatives and etc. etc. This specific one was launched approximately 10 years ago as a regional edition. So Crown Head started doing those regional editions in a few different states. And this was the Texas regional edition called Yellow Rose. The cigar itself, it's super nice size, 6.25 54 box press torpedo. Very, very dark wrapper, Connecticut broadleaf, Nicaraguan fuel, Nicaraguan binder. So in theory, it's extremely strong cigar, but it's not that strong. For me, it's medium plus, lots of flavors, lots of aromas, lots of taste. If you're looking for a cigar which look scary, but is not that intimidating. No band again. It's only yellow food band. The rest of the regional edition in Crown Heads, they have green band, they have red band, and yada yada. This one specific one is made by people from my father factory in Nicaragua, so almost Nicaraguan puro except the wrapper. And if you know my father and Tatuaje as a brand, you know what they can do with the broadleaf. And this is great example with the my father rolled cigar with the Connecticut broadleaf as a wrapper. Perfect smoke. Again, for me, I'm already halfway down. I start smoking about hour ago. So for me, 6-inch, even 6.25, it should be easily 2 hour smoke. So that's why I start earlier. So far, beautiful construction, beautiful. Everything is good. I hope the lots of talking I'm going to do in the next hour or so, it won't ruin the experience. Sometimes when I talk, I forgot to smoke, and the cigar needs relighting, and that's not always ideal. What I have in my cup, it's nothing too pretentious, nothing too posh, as some people would say sometimes when I use those weird teas. This is a very, very standard rooibos tea. For me, rooibos it should have, everyone who like tea, who love tea, should have rooibos in his rotation. It's not an everyday or every cigar pairing tea. Sometimes it can be too spicy, it can be too strong. But when you have a nice, almost full body cigar with lots of sweetness, with lots of strength, not that much as a pepper, it's always good to have that kind of a pairing, in my opinion. I mean, you don't need to agree with it, but I think rooibos is a great pairing for that type of Nicaraguan cigars. Maybe Mexican cigars, cigars which use a lot of Maduro style wrappers, more towards stronger sensations. It pair well, and rooibos doesn't need introduction. It's one of the varieties of teas. We have green, black, white tea. This is what I call it red tea. It's very reddish as a color, very distinctive aroma and flavor. I wouldn't add anything. I know some people add milk into the rooibos. I think this is just too much changing the rooibos as a taste and flavor. I wouldn't add anything. It's just pure rooibos, brewed in about 4 minutes, 95 degrees water. So that's what you need on that one. Right, that's what I'm smoking. That's what I'm drinking tonight. Let me know if you do anything like that. And without further ado, I think it's time to start with the news. So I will add in the news section some news from last week and from this week, because obviously we didn't have the show last week, and some people might think that we need to talk about some interesting stuff happening last week as well. As a tradition, we're going to start with the releases. There's a bunch of interesting releases happening in the past few weeks. I'm going to start with one super cool. EGM releasing Ninfa. So why this is interesting? I mean, EGM, I spoke a lot about EGM before. They are one of those new companies which I think they will disrupt the market in certain places. They are super interesting conception. They do super interesting stuff. Their cigars taste nice. Some of them can be expensive, but I think every brand now doing that one, so I don't think I'm going to concentrate that much on the price here. But they decide they're releasing a Nympha, and for me Nympha is one of those probably most unique sizes of cigars, almost not existent anymore. Many years ago, Cuba used to produce Nympha as a size which was for me was super elegant, super smooth, nice looking size, usually very long, about 7 inch. Ring gauge can vary between 32, 33, 34. So this specific example with EGM, the size will be 7 by 34. Again, it's like a slim Lancero, which if it's done right, it's absolutely phenomenal size. The closest I can go there, Lancero. I think if the Nympha is right, it can beat Lancero as a experience and everything. Again, there's not many Nymphas. Back in the time, there used to be Punch Nymphas as a portfolio in Habanos, which still I think is one of the best Cuban cigars I've ever smoked in my whole entire smoking life. I haven't smoked Punch Nympha probably in more than 6-7 years. 6 or 7. No. Oh, I need to say that joke. I haven't smoked Nymphas in ages. I recently smoked Nymphomaniac by Crux, which is a similar size but in a Perfecto, so a big 7-inch Perfecto, 7-inch long Perfecto in a 30-odd ring gauge. So if you never smoke an Nympha, if you like me, more elegant, more slim sizes, this is a size definitely you need to try to find and smoke. No, it's not easy, as I mentioned. There's not many brands doing Nympha, but that's why I want to mention EGM here, because bringing Nympha on the market, it's not an easy decision, I'm sure. And probably require lots of balls to say, hey, instead of doing 6x60, well, the American market usually go for, we're gonna do something very opposite. We'll go for super elegant 7x34. So I hope I will manage to put my hands on some of those and smoke. They're in 25 counts and 10 counts. Super nice looking, like 898 style boxes with a nice lid. I mean, everything is Cuban-esque looking. I hope they taste nice as well. Then we're gonna move to the next release. This is very close to me and to my projects, what I'm doing. The company I'm representing at the moment on the international market, Freud, finally we decide to announce the release of our brand new line, and this is Elvis. I think I spoke a lot about it in the past, especially with the people who know me closely. Elvis is a brand new addition to our portfolio. It will be on a different batches. So the first release of Elvis will be 1,000 boxes of 10 counts. Panatella size or Lancero. Well, I mean, Lancero technically is Panatella. Elvis used to smoke 5-6 Panatellas a day. That was his personal favorite size. That's why we release Panatella as a size. 738, extremely classic, typical Lancero. The cigar is made by Wilber Ventura in Dominican Republic. Dominican Habano 2000 wrapper, Sumatra binder, and the filler is lots of Dominican tobaccos with a little bit of Ecuadorian tobacco as well. So there's lots of different plans for us to release different lines as a continuous releases of Elvis, but we will start with this one at the moment. So with the future, the next batch will be different, and so on and so on. Right. I just need to have a bit of a tea, and yeah, that's why the uncomfortable silence in the chat is not like I forgot to talk about or anything. It's just I need to keep puffing and smoking because my cigar will die elsewhere. The next one is another release, this time from Habanos. They finally announced a few of their cigars, which already will be available to purchase in Switzerland. Of course, one of the markets usually they launch their new releases. The first release was Romeo and Julieta Short Churchill Reserva, which was been announced a few years ago. Finally, they put it on the market. I mean, Short Churchill, I don't think need introduction. Short Churchill Reserva is, I mean, I haven't smoked the Reserva. I smoked the Short Churchill, and for me, Short Churchill is probably my favorite Robusto from Cuba. 4 and 7 850, typical Robusto size. If I need to pick a Robusto, for me the dilemma always been between Cohiba Robusto and Romeo Short Churchill. Maybe because of the price, I would probably pick the Romeo because I can buy 2 or 3 Romeos for the price of one Cohiba. But yeah, for me, flavor-wise, taste-wise, Romeo is always better. And I know some people will probably jump in here and say, "Hey, what about the D4 or specially selected Ramones?" I mean, they're not my cup of tea, so I prefer completely much more Short Churchill. Unfortunately, this Short Churchill will be pricey, $230 per cigar. I know it's a Reserva, it's a crop from 2019, but still, 220. I mean, I believe you can probably still find 10 count boxes somewhere in Europe for that money. So to buy a standard Short Churchill, age it for I mean, Short Churchill is one of those cigars where I think you need to age them a little bit. The blend when it's fresh is good, but it's way better when you age them. You know, I've always says I usually don't like to age cigars on purpose, but if you want to smoke a Short Churchill to perfection, age it. Give him 5, 6, if you can, 10 years maybe, and it's sublime. I've had in the review section on the website, I did a Short Churchill review a few months ago. That was a fresh Short Churchill. I think I scored it something like 7 out of 10. And I smoke a very old one of my oldest one, which is 12, 13 years old, last week. And this was absolutely phenomenal smoke. From this box, I said the story many, many times. This specific boxes, there were a few boxes I bought 2012, 13, I believe. They were awful. When the beginning, when I bought them, I was even, sorry with myself why I bought so many of those cigars, which I don't enjoy. I literally throw them in the humidor. I haven't touched them, and I started smoking them a few years ago, and every single one of them was phenomenal. So that's what I'm saying. The Short Church usually probably need a little bit of time. Toku's asking on the YouTube, is Freud available in UK? Yes, in the better retailers. In UK, if you want to buy Freud, you can buy Alter Ego in Lonsdale, Toro and Robusto. You can buy Super Ego in Toro and Robusto, and you can buy Agape, the first edition. You can buy Zygmunt, the Disruptor. It's only one size. Those all available in UK. I'm working now with the UK distributor and importer eventually to bring the Elvis as well, which will be super interesting. It won't be even that crazy expensive cigar. It's a Lancero size, so it's not a heavy cigar. So hopefully we will agree to some. I'll manage to convince them to get some of the Elvis. So back on the Romeo topic. Also, there's another announcement with this Short Churchill. There's the announcement of the Romeo 150th anniversary, which for some people this is classed as a limited edition one. That year when they announced last year on the Habanos Festival, they didn't announce 3 limited editions. They announced 2 limited editions and 1 fancy 150th anniversary celebration cigar. This is the Amantes Romeo and Julieta, Sobresaliente size. I haven't smoked this one, but the size is already been in production. There's a few other cigars like Polo Naga Sobresalientes, Romeo Capuletos, which used to be the edition limitada 2016, and now they're releasing this. I mean, there was a speculation. So I've heard some people saying this is essentially the Capuletos cigar, just in a different band, and obviously released years later, almost 7-8 years later. Capuletos for me wasn't that successful release from Romeo. 2016 I think was Capuletos. But who knows? Maybe the new Amantis will be much better. Um, Pricey as well. The price on this one is around $100 each. So they at the moment they release 5 count cigars, about $480. So almost $100 per cigar. So they should be available in La Casa del Habano as of tomorrow. So that's quite new. But yeah, let me know if any of you smoke those. If any of you have any experience with those two, I'm super curious as always how they perform. Good evening, Nader, joining in YouTube. And yeah, good evening to everyone who's joining on the Instagram. Right, another release, and again from Habanos. They released another addition to their Chinese Zodiac cigars, and this is Trinidad Year of the Horse. They call it Trinidad Corcel. Weird size called Patricius, 5 3/10 of a 55 Parejo. I mean, it's exactly the same cigar as Kedor C54, but this cigar have a big tail was every Trinidad. Also, the ring gauge on the 50, I mean the Kedor C54 is 54. This one is 55. But I told you many times between 54 and 55, probably is not much of a difference. Most people wouldn't find a difference there. The price on this cigar is actually not that bad for Trinidad and for the size, €78 per cigar, which for big Trinidad, I mean, it's a lot of money, but consider what the other prices on the Trinidads, I think it's a reasonable price. Why Trinidad? I mean, maybe that's one of the brands they can't sell that much. Maybe they hope Chinese people to buy the Trinidad. I've always said that for me, Trinidad, it's a dead brand. It doesn't sell. And Habanos may be trying to do everything as possible to sell the Trinidads. So they keep adding the different editions. Andres mentioned something. Elite Trading, that's the Nordic and Baltic Habanos distribution, have stopped all the orders and shipments for cigars in February. I mean, there was a very, very interesting article. I haven't planned to talk about this one, but I can mention it here. There was a very, very good article from my dear friend Usman in Cigar Inspector, that he have an information that in UK at the moment situation with the Cuban cigars is very tough. So Hunters and Franco have actually don't have that many new cigars as they expected. So there's a shortage. There's a massive shortage on the new cigars. They even start limiting all the retailers who buying cigars from Hunters and Franco. They limit something, 1 box per SKU per week. That will be the maximum order you can do. So even if you're one of the biggest shops, you can't just buy 5 boxes of Romeo Short Churchill or Cuiva Robusto or anything. You can buy only 1 box per week, which is never seen before. And further down the show, we're going to talk much more about Habanos in the situation at the moment. But yeah, the UK market doesn't look promising as well. And even Andre, my dear friend, now just mentioned this in the YouTube. That's valid for the Nordic distribution as well. Jacob saying Hunter have a massive storage of all the cigars. Is that true? I know I mean, I've never seen that storage. From my time when I used to be in retail, I know Hunters have a decent amount of old cigars. But I mean, I don't know what you call old cigars. The oldest cigars, I would say, a few years old, 5 years old, yes. But I don't think they have like massive vault with like 1960s or 1980s or 1990s. Maybe they keep certain stuff with the idea to have it as a fancy release in a year's time, like anniversary or celebration, like the Hunters 225, like the Private Stock 230th. Maybe the next one will be 235 in a few years. But in they used to have a decent amount of cigars, of new cigars, and now if they complaining that they have a shortage, they will go through their stash quickly. I mean, don't forget. I mean, I don't know if you know, but UK market, despite the fact that lots of retailers or importers saying, hey, it's like 50-50 Cuban, non-Cuban, etc., it's not very true, to be honest. There's a few people which collect information from different retailers and different importers, looking at their sales, at their declarations of the taxes and everything, incomes. And apparently, the situation in UK up to 2025 was about 75 to 25 Cuban versus non-Cuban. And from all this percentage of Cuban cigars, maybe only 20 or 30% are domestic. The rest of them are just people coming from abroad and buying them and bring them out. Mostly foreign investors, foreign buyers, consumers. It could be Chinese, it could be other people, it could be Eastern European, it can be European, American, of course, whoever basically can come to UK. Lots of those people value the Hunters and Franco stamp, the EGM selection, English EMS, EMS, the English market selection. And if Habano Hunters have that shortage of Cuban cigars, this will be very heavy hit the local retailers, because lots of them still rely on these foreign consumers and people who buy from abroad. And this will be a very, very interesting, challenging few months, probably in the next this summer or maybe this year. Jacob mentioned there's in Sweden they haven't seen a Cuban cigars in years. Well, that's what I said. One of the biggest markets in Cuban cigars in Europe, maybe in the world as well. This is London. This is UK. I know Hong Kong is massive as well, but I don't know that much the Hong Kong market, so I can't comment that much on that point. But the UK market, it was heavily influenced by the Cubans, and this will change. Next release, another Cuban release, Polar Naga Ignatius edition. That's the regional edition for Benelux or Belgium and Luxembourg. Every year, Benelux, I think, getting regional editions. This year wouldn't make any difference. The cigar is Polar Naga. The size is Geniales, 5 9/10 of an inch, 54. Same size as Monte Cristo Open Eagle and Hoy de Monterrey, the San Juan. And lots of regional editions. One of the most favorite size for regional editions. They announced 10 count boxes as usual, €23 per cigar, which is pretty cool. I mean, €23 for a big Polar Naga, why not? Sounds really cool. Unfortunately, I'm not in Belgium or Luxembourg, so I don't think I can find this cigar. And if someone bring it to UK, the price will be ridiculous. I can guarantee that. It's a great question from Nader. Is it possible to smoke a cigar in the morning? And if you don't enjoy it, smoke it in the same cigar of the night and you enjoy it very much. Yes. I mean, if you start looking more technical to the question, it's even if it's the same box of cigar, technically might not be the same cigar. Especially with the Cubans, they sort the cigars by color, and maybe could be different batches, could be a different tobaccos in there. Even if, let's say, hypothetically, everything is the same, the cigar is perfect, the same, it's all matter what's your palate. In the morning, maybe if we're talking about you wake up, maybe get a coffee, a tea, and start smoking, your palate is super fresh. And this is probably one of the best time where you want to taste the cigar, you want to feel the cigar, you want to understand the cigar. I always say smoke it early in the morning or maybe before having any food. I don't have a breakfast, so for me, the first cigar, even if it's lunchtime, it's still I didn't have much except the tea. So it's all your palate. If you haven't had any food and stuff, your palate is still fresh. Once you have started eating, it could be anything. I mean, you can eat sandwich or food or fruit or chocolate or doesn't matter. Your palate's changing completely. Your brain's changing. Even the pH in your mouth changing, and that way you will experience complete different chemical elements in your mouth. So it can be different. Um, it's all depends. I don't think there's a unless you want to do a super I don't know interesting experiment where you don't drink anything but water all day, smoke the cigar in the morning, maybe brush your teeth and mouthwash or something, and then only water for the rest of the day, and in the night smoke the same cigar, see how we're feeling. I still think will be a little bit different. It's just the chemical components in your mouth changing all the time. So it will be a very, very interesting experiment if someone wants to try that. There's example is he smoked 3 cigars from Crown Heads. He didn't enjoy them, and then the best cigars in the night when he smoked them. It's cool. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but I think they will be different. There is no way, in my opinion, where you can smoke 3 cigars. Let's say you smoke 3 cigars from the same box, and they exactly the same cigars. I mean, unless you absolutely follow the same diet and drinks and water and food every single day, and then you smoke them. That's why some people, when they do reviews, they do 3 cigars reviews, like people from Halfway or even Cigar Inspector. A bunch of people do from each cigar they want to review, they smoke 3 cigars, which is, I understand their point, but your mouth is not in the same, your palate is different. So every time you smoke, let's say you smoke 3 cigars in 3 days, you eat different food, you drink different drinks, even your coffee sometimes different. If you add something in your coffee, you add too much milk, too less milk, sugar. The tea is different, I drink different tea, and it's not the same in your mouth. So for me, that's why it's not ideal smoking 3 cigars and saying, oh, based on those 3 cigars, I'm gonna score them. No, I mean, on the other point as well, when you go and buy a cigar from a shop or in a lounge, you go and pick one cigar. Even if you want to go through a whole box, you pick one, you smoke it, you enjoy it or you don't enjoy it. There's not much of other middle ground. Either you like it, either you don't. Maybe if you don't like it, you won't buy another one because you think maybe all the rest of crap. Or if you like them so much, you go and buy the rest of the box, and then you might have disappointments. It's a very complicated. That's why when I do a review, I smoke 1 cigar on the moment. I mean, if it's a bad cigar, it's bad cigar. And there's occasions, if you look at the reviews I'm doing, there's occasions where some of the cigars I smoke, I know they're phenomenal cigars, and then I smoke it and it's disappointment. And it's just the moment. I mean, there's no such a thing. We're not robots. If you're some AI robot or I don't know, Android or something like that, and you can have exactly technically way to taste and feel the tobaccos and the stuff, maybe you can tell the difference, but we're living organisms, and everything in your mouth changing all the time, and the cigar is different as well. I keep saying it's the only person can guarantee those are 2 exactly the same cigars. Someone from the factory who actually rolled and put the cigars in the box can tell, yeah, definitely this was exactly the same tobacco used, and those 3 cigars from the same plant, from the same fermentation bale, from the same patch, whatever. It's very, very hard to say it's exactly the same cigar. The more I'm jumping into this topic, the more complicated look, and the more weird my sound. But this is my view, and that's why I can answer the question why I smoke only 1 cigar for review. it is what it is. Is the draw, the short stick or the long stick? It's yeah. I mean, even in Instagram, Petrus is it's a great friend in LA. He says the same thing. So you smoke something you don't like, and then second time it's phenomenal. There's so many factors. Absolutely, I agree with you. And when we talk about flavors, taste, aromas, is different. If we smoke the cigar purely of the technical point, like burn, construction, yeah, they should be the same. Burn, construction, etc. If they're rolled in the same way, if they use the same type of tobacco and there's no mistakes in rolling, they should go the same. But flavors, taste, and aroma, they're not. And Toko adding something very valid as well, the mental state, 100%, 100%. So many times I smoke a cigar and I'm thinking of something else. Either work, either something else. You're not in a position to think about the cigar. Maybe you don't enjoy it, or if you're busy working, even if even if you're just relaxing, you're still thinking about something. Very rarely you're just having a cigar and just thinking, this puff is that. That puff, I have that one. You don't think of anything else. This is 2 hours. You can't just think of this cigar for 2 hours. Even when I'm doing reviews, I make notes, I write some stuff, but I don't just think every single time about the cigar. I do all the other stuff, and in the meantime, when I smoke, I put notes. I put my notes. I add something, I remove something, scratch whatever, and then I add it in the review. Petrus keep adding stuff on Instagram. The storage is very important as well. How long after you take it out? How dry is? It's a lot of factors. That's why, again, for me, you want to review a cigar, you smoke one cigar, and that's it. Smoke another one. You can add into the review. You can say, hey, I smoke a second one. It was that much better or worse or different than the first one. Maybe do a collective scoring or anything like that. But smoking 3, 4, 5 cigars for a review, it's very different. It's very unlikely, especially if you know the cigar. If you do it on a blind taste, that change a little bit. Not because the cigars are always obviously the same. No, because you don't know. You're not biased. Even if you smoke, if you smoke and you know the cigar, you're biased. It doesn't matter what people saying. You're biased. There's a certain brands you will think much better, much higher than other brands. Maybe if you're disappointed from your favorite brand, you're gonna even score it harsher or lower than if it's a cigar which you don't enjoy from a brand, you don't care about it. But smoking blind, changing a little bit that perception, and you don't know what you're smoking. You're just based on what's your current status, what your current smoke. But I don't know people who smoke like 3 or 4 cigars for a review, all blind. I just don't know people like that. It's usually blind smoking is a group of tasters, palates, or whatever, collaboration with few people. They all smoke the same cigar from the same box, blind, and it's different palette. And then combine those palettes, you can get scorings and flavors and aromas. And always you can have some 1 or 2 people which score something completely different than the rest of the group. And this is based on their palate. It's depend which country they are, what they're drinking, what they're eating. Their palate is different. Everyone's palate is different. Right, Petros never thought about mental state. Yes, I'll give you an example. If you're in a very bad mood, sometimes somebody pissed you off, you lost money, I don't know, something happened. It's not you're not in the mood. Try to smoke a cigar. Get your favorite cigar. See how you're gonna feel the cigar. I'm sure you're not gonna enjoy the cigar the way you enjoy usually that cigar when you smoke it in a very good state of mind. So, right, carry on with the next news. I mean, you're more than free to jump in, throwing stuff in the chat, and I will comment, of course. The next piece of news is that smoking, one of the biggest retailers in the US, and the guy behind Ape, It's called Ape. They acquires Protocol brand of cigars. So Protocol, it's one of the brands which I actually enjoy a lot. They have some problematic issues with construction, in my opinion, but in general, they're one of those brands which I like. I like their flavor profiles and what stuff they're releasing. So Protocol used to be a brand from two ex police forces people um, who collaborate with Eric Espinosa, and Eric Espinosa made the cigars for them in La Zona. They have so many interesting releases, all related to the police in some way, the names, the sizes, the collaborations. And this news came out of nowhere for me. I mean, I didn't expect something like that. So Smoking acquired the whole assets of the brand, everything what they have in stock and etc. Now is owned by Smoking, which is interesting because Smoking is a big enough retailer. I think they can only push up the brand to the next level. It's not like just a random guy buying the brand and yeah, we're gonna maybe invest money. No, Smoking is a very big company. I can tell one more time. You know, it's a big enough retailer. Maybe they will start producing much more exclusive stuff for Smoking, only available at Smoking. But it's good to see not a cigar company buying the brand, actually retailer buying the brand. I mean, there's examples sometimes when retailer buy a brand and the brand just disappear. But I don't think this will be the case. Smoking, a big enough brand, they have lots of followers, you know, around the US. They have an interesting show in the social media. The social media channels are big enough, and I think this will be just a benefit for the brand, which kind of going downhill in the last years. I mean, Protocol didn't release anything so fancy and so exclusive in the last maybe 4 or 5 years. I think one of the last releases which was quite cool was with Cigar Dojo. And after that, I don't think they did anything super interesting. I mean, they start releasing those low men's name cigar after some of the most famous people of the low in the US, you know, with the historical aspects. But they stopped that one as well a few years ago. And I think the last release was actually Smoking exclusive, one of those. I might be wrong. I'm just talking literally top of my head at the moment. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool that they're doing that. And now another very cool news. There was a big announcement from Jonathan Drew that he is actually starting a new brand, J Sun and Son. So Jonathan Drew's surname is Sun, S-A-N-N. Lots of people probably doesn't know it, but he's now with his newborn baby. He decided to start a brand, which maybe will be his legacy. He will start a small production in the US. So the cigars will be made in the US. Will be also a retail shop where predominantly where he's gonna sell these cigars. Of course, Drew Estate is behind his back. I mean, he's still part of Drew Estate. But I think this will be Jonathan's way to get out of Drew Estate. I mean, he did it years ago when he sold the company. Then eventually he come back, and he's now still part of the estate. But I think this is his way to leave them and have his own thing on the map. I believe he starts smoking again. So people who know Jonathan, they know he hasn't smoked for many years. I think he stopped smoking more than 10 years ago. But he now starts smoking again. Start working with tobacco, and yeah, it's like maybe it's like new inspiration for him. You know, maybe his family, his son is you know, just new inspiration. That's how I feel it. It'll be super interesting seeing what he will do with this new brand and how this will develop and how different will be from the classical Drew Estate stuff. Because I think Drew Estate going a little bit downhill. I mentioned that in the past year. I think most of the new releases are just not good enough for Drew Estate. Most of the people who are not Drew Estate hardcore fans, because if you're Drew Estate hardcore fans, you're gonna be every new release is the best in the best. most of the people who are not massive real estate hardcore fans, I haven't heard of any of them liking so much some of the new releases. Most of them, when you ask, hey, what's your favorite real estate smoke, or what's your preferable, they will still relate to T50, T52, Liga 9, L40, some of the Unico side releases, Undercrowns. Those are super classical real estate. Even factory smoke for the people who like more budget cigars. Even factory smokes are there. And yeah, very rarely someone will mention the Metallica M81, S84, the Viva, the Selección de Mercado, the 10th anniversary Liga, even the H99. I mean, those are new releases, but again, very rarely I've seen someone who can tell, oh, this is like the best ever release from the real estate, unless you're a hardcore fan. And now super fresh news from literally from a few days ago. There was another report for a big fire in the industry, and this time was one of the curing bands of Plasencia. There was a pictures came out in the social media on Friday evening that something's burning in the Plasencia's fields. Plasencia came with the official statement that not much of a I mean, it's obviously they lost some tobacco, but there wasn't any people involved there. There was any injury people. There was no injured people. There was no any problems for the people who were there, which is very good news. But unfortunately, they lose something. I don't think they will be massively troubled with that one. You know, there was already speculation. So, shall we start buying all the Plasencias to see in the market? I don't think this will affect Plasencia that much. It doesn't matter how much tobacco they lost there. It's a curing ban. So Plasencia is a very big enough company to sustain their production, and they have plenty of tobacco in inventory, I'm sure. Maybe they won't produce that many custom brands for some of the other people because they're one of those who do lots of white labels and custom blends for different companies. But I don't think it will affect anything on their own brand. So it was just another accident. We talk about this many times. Why those fires happening? I mean, last year there was at least 2 occasions where there was a fire in Nicaragua, one in DR, and there's still problems like that. I mean, again, it's I've been to the Nicaraguan fields. I've been to some of those barns and farms. Again, I guess it's not a great infrastructure. It's not a great infrastructure to create like sprinkle systems or anything. It's just middle of nowhere. So again, those accidents will continue happening. I don't think this will stop anytime soon. I hope there won't be any people involved there. There won't be any injured people or even worse. So Petrus says, do we know how the fire started? I don't think there's any information. I don't know yet. I've asked people from Plasencia, some of the people I know in Plasencia. There was no comment there, so I have no idea why they start. Another comment from Petrus: 100% agree on the real estate has lots of misses. I mean, for me, yes, there's lots of people who think the same, and I'm happy that I'm not the only person thinking like that. Appreciation for the handmade. Do I still smoke Cubans? 100% when I can afford them. Yes, I will never stop smoking Cubans. For me, it will be stupid if I say I don't smoke any more Cubans. I still smoke Cuban. I still enjoy Cubans. Not as many as I want, maybe. Not as many as I can. Not as many as I used to. But I still smoke Cubans. So yeah. Right. Moving on to the next one. And this is probably one of the biggest topics in the last weeks. Cuban festival finally officially been announced as a cancelled or postponed, but I tend to believe is more cancelled. So this was speculated in the media for more than a couple weeks. Different medias, different people. different people were throwing information, speculating. Oh, I've been to Cuba. They won't have the festival. Um, I personally found out in Thursday evening. Um, I spoke with few people. I was out with some friends from the industry, and they're much more into the Cuban news and topics. So they personally asked Habanos in Thursday evening about the festival because I want to, of course, know more. And they have the answer from Habanos that the festival will be cancelled. They will came out shortly with the messages, which didn't be. It wasn't actually that short. It was a few days after that Habanos came with the official message. But I believe they sent lots of emails to some of the main distributors and partners. They will cancel the festival before the official release, and that's why there was a lot of much more speculations. Oh, we cancel it, we don't cancel it, won't be cancelled, we postponed it, it will be moved to another country. That what even if I've heard, they will move the release of the Cohiba to another country, which is nonsense. So personally, I don't have much of a for me, cancel or no, it doesn't change anything with me. I never planned to go there. It's it's always positives and negatives on both ways. I know lots of people think that should continue and not being cancelled. But I guess the problem will be when all those people go to Cuba and there's actually no food or electricity. Even if you have the money, you still can't buy anything. You can't have an electricity because there's no electricity, there's no fuel, there's no food. So some people were joking, oh, we're going to bring like 5 power banks with us and, we're going to charge our phones and stuff. But still, what are you going to eat? Banana leaves? I mean, it's not. And on the other side is Cuba will miss so much money going to the country because this festival is a big income for the industry. Maybe not all the money go directly into the regular people, but still money going to the industry. I mean, they do this big auction with all those fancy humidors where they sell for millions. I believe those money go for the hospitals in Cuba. Also, all those foreign people traveling. I know lots of those people who travel, they bring with them like medicines and whatever they can bring to the local people. So I guess now those people gonna don't have that one. Um, there was a valid question from one of my friends when we were discussing that a few days ago, and it was like, even with if you give money to the people, what are they gonna do with the money? Because when the foreign people travel, you give tips to the local taxis, you give tips to the local restaurants, local people who help you with whatever. What are they gonna do with the money? They can't buy anything. There's nothing there to buy, which is very valid. But still, I think the festival probably should go ahead, and maybe people who go there will take the risk, don't have electricity and stuff. But the other problem was lots of the governments, they announce in their websites, oh, don't go there because we won't save you if you need, and yada yada, you go on your own responsibility. There's lots of airlines which cancel their flights to Cuba, lots of other redirect refueling to Cancun or whatever local islands. Um, Again, it's there's no right or wrong. What should be the best? Maybe the Cabanos decide to do it and in their best interest. I've heard another rumor from another friend of mine who usually is a good source. He told me that Habanos actually were discussing to cancel the festival about 6 or 7 months ago. So if they were thinking to cancel the festival 6 or 7 months ago, that means the reasons are not really what they're mentioning, with the shortage of fuel and water and food and that kind of stuff. So it might be different reasons. But I'm a bit skeptical on this rumor, so I'm not entirely sure there. Appreciation for the handmade. Looks like you built a walk-in behind you. Can you explain how you did it? It's a small walk-in. It's not like a massive room. I can still walk inside, but I mean, what do you want to know how I did it? It's just shelves, insulation, humidification systems, a bit of a fancy lights, which can change to blue, green, whatever. And yeah, that's it. It's it take me literally maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, I built it. I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's still there. It's still running. So yeah. Right. On this note, this was the last piece of news for this week. Um, Definitely was a big topic, the Habanos Festival. Again, it's we'll see what's going to happen. I think Cuba is not in a good state. In my opinion, if you wanna, if you like the Cuban cigars what they are now, just buy as many as you can. I think Cuban situation will change very soon. Again, this is just my speculation. It's nothing confirmed. It's nothing official. I think Cuba will fall soon. And if that happens, the Cuban cigars won't be the same Cuban cigars we know. Even if theoretically American government take over, maybe they will allow people to import Cuban tobacco. Some of the brands will get Cuban tobacco, will start mixing. Maybe there will be brands will go to Cuba, will start producing cigars in Cuba using Cuban tobacco, maybe not only Cuban tobacco, but the cigars will be very different than what they are now. It won't be the same style cigars. So if you enjoy the current state of the Cuban cigars, stock, whatever you can find boxes, and if you have the finance, just buy. It will be interesting to see what's going to happen. I think there will be some successful collaborations. There will be some other shits. I don't think the big brands will jump into the Cuban tobacco, even if they can. But there will be lots of small brands which can do it. And some of them might do a phenomenal job, but others won't. And yeah, who knows what's going to happen. It will be very, very interesting the rest of the year. I know it's still very early. It's February, but I think the Cuban cigars will change a lot in the next year or so. Okay. Time for the best and the worst smoke I have since the last episode. The worst smoke, as a tradition, we'll start with the worst smoke. The worst smoke I have was a Hiram & Salomon Ceramos Toro. This was a pretty bad cigar. I did a review in the website. You can have a look. The cigar was just nothing to enjoy. Never smoked this cigar before. It was construction bad, flavor bad, taste bad, nothing okay with this cigar. The only positive thing in there was the first inch of the cigar was actually okay, construction wise. After that, everything just go downhill. That's why it's not 1 out of 10, it's 2 out of 10. But I said many times, I think some of the recent productions of Hiram & Salomon, especially since they moved to DR, they're not the same. Back in the time when Hiram & Salomon came on the market, the cigars were made by Plasencia, and I think they were very successful cigars made by Plasencia. But since they moved to DR, using different factors in DR, the cigars are not the same. Blends are not the same. I don't think they're good as they was. Petro says never have a good Hiram & Salomon. I mean, recent ones, I also haven't had a one which I want to smoke again. But back in the time, there was some interesting cigars. And the best cigar of the last 2 weeks, something I mentioned earlier, Romeo and Julieta Short Churchill. Absolutely 10 out of 10 cigar. Nothing bad I can tell for the cigar. An appreciation for the handmade. Asked me, did I still smoke Cuban cigars? Yes, this was a great example of a phenomenal cigar, despite the fact where it's coming from. It was Cuban. It was well aged, 12 years old, 13 years old. I know very well this box. All of those cigars in the last 3 or 4 years I smoked from the same batch. They were all phenomenal. But those were the same cigars where I smoked at the beginning when I bought them, and they were awful. So I guess the age on this one helped a lot. Right. I mean, this cigar is still perfect. I need to relight it once because I was keep talking. I knew that will happen. The cigar is super taste. It's great. Nader says, guarantee you those short churches are not the same now. Yes, but I said the same. The new short churches, maybe they need time. They're not the same. They need time. I still believe it's the same cigar, just fresh. And I don't like the fresh short churches. Maybe people like them. Personally, not me. So, who knows? Okay. There's a bunch of brands next to me. What I have prepared for you as a part of the vault behind me. You know, I like to talk about some brands I have behind me, and appreciation for man-made. Used to working with the Mexican brand Casa. No, I was working with Casa 1910. Never worked with Casa Torrent. I love them to bits, but never worked with them. No, I have nothing to do with the Mexicans anymore. That project is in the past. I represent Freud at the moment on the global scene, and I work with few other brands on a smaller projects. But yeah, I have nothing to do with the Mexicans. So the first brand I want to talk about tonight, this is Leche. And this specific example is Leche Black. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see my cameras. What's the situation? Do I need to get closer somewhere? Leche is a cigar made by Sam Leche. So Sam Leche is a great person from the industry with lots of experience. He was actually the person who bring to the market cigars like Nub. He used to be part of Oliva. I believe he created actually the Nub and some of the other Olivas. Then he left the company in 2010. He have non-compete for a little bit, and then he started his own company, Leche Cigars. He created a few different lines, Leche Black, Luchador, which I have a review on the website. One of the first reviews I actually did was the Luchador. I don't have any more Luchadors, unfortunately. And I think he sold the company to STG in 2014 or 15, if my memory is not making fun. Most of the Leche cigars are still made in Nicaragua. Interesting cigar, especially the Luchador. It's a very fancy band with one of those Mexican fighters, you know, the wrestling fighters. I would say it's one of the brands you need to try. I haven't smoked like mega exceptional cigar from Sam Leche, but I think he's a well-known name in the industry, so he used to know how to make cigars. The next brand, it's a very new brand with a very great idea and conception. This is a brand called League of Fat Bastards, LOFB. In my hand I have the Sirio, which is the bigger Toro here, and this is actually a cigar which I'm not sure if it's been released yet. I literally had this cigar a few months ago from one of the people in the brand. They told me this is not being released yet. I don't know if they released it yet. I even forget the name. It's something ladies related, but Bastardas or something like that. This one here. Yeah. Liquor Fat Bastard, it's a great idea as a brand started by Adam Levine. This is not the musician, by the way. It's an Australian guy who wants to help men with the mental health problems, you know, suicidal thoughts and all those other mental stuff. So what he did with the brand, he said that 40% of the net profit of every cigar they sell, it will go to a mental health charities, so can help people with the mental problems. And it basically, his conception is, don't be afraid to say you have a mental problem. You know, we all humans, we all have mental problems in certain time of the life. So they make cigars in a few different factories in a few different countries. The cigars in general are not bad. I've smoked a bunch of their cigars. I believe I have a reviews on the website as well. So it's another, again, if you want to support that kind of initiative, charity exception, just smoke League of Fat Bastards. I believe you can find it in lots of different markets nowadays. And yeah, another small boutique and a new and very interesting brand. The next one, let me see how many of you actually know about anything about this one. It's called the Legend of Eight. It's a very nice looking cigar. I'm not gonna lie. It's a chunky size. It's a massive gordo. The cap on that one is literally number 8, made as a pigtail. Looks like it's literally completely separate, not part of this cigar. Let me see my cameras if you can see them. But yeah, this is number 8 on the top. The cigar is called League of Eight. So this is the foot. It's a closed foot. Right, interesting one where you can find the Fat Bastards apart from the kebab shop. I don't think the Fat Bastards are in UK, but I'm pretty sure they're in US. Text me, Petrus. Text me, send me a text, and I will find out for you where they are in the US. I know some of the people in the company personally, so I can send them a text and see where they are in the US. I'm pretty sure they're in the US. That's how they look. Again, League of the Fat Bastards. They have the QR code with all the information on the back. They have the cigars called Series OLF, name after the name. Back on the Legend of Eight. So, this cigar, it's actually a great history on this cigar. This cigar is made in Costa Rica. Not a lot of Costa Rican brands nowadays, but the great thing about this cigar, so I've never smoked this cigar. I have it only one cigar. A friend of mine gave it to me because I want to find one of those cigars for ages. They're all chunky sizes. Again, it's not my favorite size, but I will smoke it one day. So what I know about this brand, the brand is owned by the same person who created El Septimo years ago. Before Zaya get involved with El Septimo and ruin the brand was owned by, I think, Swiss guy or French guy, who sold the brand in 2019, maybe 18, to Zaya Yunnan, who after that take the El Septimo on board, etc. And the person who sold the brand, then he started his own brand again. This time the name is Legend of Eight. This specifically is called the Wild Blend. Cigars are still made in Costa Rica. I believe the same people who make the very first El Septimos, which I haven't smoked yet. I have 2 very old El Septimos before the Zaya's time. I still haven't smoked them, but they look very identical to those. So part of except the funky pigtail number 8 on the top. But yeah, the cigar look really. I mean, honestly, when you see sometimes cigars like that, no imperfection, really heavily packed. No, it's not a light cigar. It's probably over 30 grams easily. I should have waited probably, but cigars look very well made, and yeah, it make you want to smoke it now. So one day, I promise. My cigar wants to die. There's 2 more brands. Next brand, Luciano, and this specific is the Macineos tea. Luciano is a bit of a controversial person. I did an interview with him years ago on Instagram, so you can have a look on Instagram, my interview with Luciano. A little bit of a controversial person. Lots of people in the industry doesn't like him that much. He used to make cigars with Crown Heads years ago. They did a massive breakup and massive scandal. None of them explained why, but I guess there was a big serious split up there. Since then, Luciano changed factories, moved to different partnerships. Now I think he's a partner with some company from Europe, actually from Azori Islands. I haven't smoked any of the recent Lucianos. This was one of the actually very decent cigars he released years ago. Macineos. I think they did a wine as well with the same name. I haven't drank the wine. Some people say it's a very decent wine, but personally haven't drank it. But yeah, it's he still makes cigars. Again, not everyone like him, but I guess he's one of those people. The next cigar is actually another very interesting cigar with a little bit of a sad story. This is a brand called Lush, and this specific one is the Serengeti Torpedo with a very nice pigtail. I'll take it out from the cellophane so I can show you a beautiful construction. So why I said it's a little bit sad story, because the person who created Lush actually passed away 6 years ago. You can see the beautiful funky pigtail on the torpedo, on the figurado. It was the person who created the brand was a Nigerian guy living in the US. I need to check his name because I don't remember. It's called Olujide Olieba, or everyone call him Lush. He was in Chicago. And yeah, he unfortunately passed away in 2010, but the person who was his right hand, Art, he actually take over the brand and everything, and he's still making cigars. He tried to push them into Europe nowadays. I met the guy a few times already. Great person with the great ideas. I believe they start selling now in a few different countries in Europe. I'm not sure in the US how big they are. The cigars are very interesting, tobaccos and taste and flavors. Obviously, the sizes are very cool. But again, it's one of those brands where maybe slip away around the main production, the mainstream brands where people doesn't not sure what they are. But if you have the chance to find Lush, just grab them. They're good cigars, great story behind, and yeah, they deserve much more people to know them. Right. On this note, this was pretty much everything I want to mention on this week's show. Now is the time for some questions or comments if you have before we end the lives. If everything is going plan, I will be live again next week at the same time, 8 p.m. Next Monday will be 23rd of February. So far, I'm on schedule, unless something came up in the last moment. In the meantime, like, comment, subscribe if you want. Send me messages. I'm here. Keep reading the stuff I'm posting in the website. I appreciate any feedback there. I will continue adding pieces of information, reviews, and everything I think it's interesting for the regular smoker. I'm interested in your can lighter. It's the Rest 8. I think this is one of the best table lighters, one of the most cool looking table lighters. Literally look like a spray of can. They have like 6-7 different designs. Even have the bowl inside, which can feel like a spray, paint spray. So yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. And it can hold lots of gas in there. On this note, I think it's time to finish the show. Smoke your cigars. Tomorrow's never given, especially with the situation what's happening around with some countries. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you learned something. It was a great discussion for me. I appreciate every single comment and question. That's why I'm doing it. So if you have interest on that one, I will keep doing it. If not, probably I'll keep doing it again. It's fun for me. I can wish you a very wonderful week, wherever you are around the world. Hope you have great smokes, great weather. I mean, in UK, finally stopped raining today. It was been 45 days non-stop raining. Today and tomorrow will be no rain, and there will be a snow. Who knows? But I don't care. Apex, you always have questions when it's time to finish. Go for it, mate. Now is the moment. Shoot the question now in the next 30 seconds, or I'm gonna finish probably the chat. Yeah, if you're in a bad weather situation, I've always liked to say there's no such a thing like a bad weather for smoking. It's only just bad outfit. Put more layers. Put more layers, gloves. You can still find a way to smoke if you want to smoke. And on the cold weather, actually, the cigars taste better, in my opinion. Come on, Apex. Where are your questions? With the current Cuban issues, how would it affect the Cuban cigar trade? I've already mentioned that. You know, it's Cuba doesn't produce lots of cigars at the moment, so everywhere is a shortage of Cuban cigars. This will be the short answer. If you want to know much more, I discussed that topic earlier today, so you can have a watch and see what I answer on that one. On this note, this time finally, I wish you a wonderful week, and I will see you all next week, same time, 8 p.m. YouTube and Instagram with the Late Smoke, and with me, Ray, will be episode 66 next week. Good night. See you all next week.